Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating lifestyle habits of the longest living people on Earth, and more importantly, how you can actually apply them at home. If you've ever wondered why some populations routinely live well past 100 years old in absolute excellent health, while the rest of the modern world really struggles with chronic disease, well, you are in the exact right place. All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the secrets of extreme longevity, the 5 blue zones themselves, those famous Power 9 habits, the scientific debate surrounding all of this, and finally, how you can build your very own blue zone.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Secrets of Extreme Longevity.
So to really understand this, we have to shatter a pretty massive misconception about the aging process itself. Think about it. The average life expectancy in the US hovers right around 78 years. But then you have these groups of people who just seamlessly breeze past 100 years of age. You kind of have to ask yourself, what exactly is their secret? For the longest time, the prevailing thought was that extreme longevity was basically just winning the genetic lottery, right? Like you either had the good family tree or you didn't. But, as it turns out, researchers have discovered something so much more empowering.
Get this. According to the famous Danish twin study, only about 20% of how long we live is actually dictated by our genes. Just 20%. That leaves a staggering 80% entirely up to our lifestyle choices and our environment. The takeaway here? The vast majority of our aging process is actually completely within our control, and that is a total game changer.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 5 blue zones. Now, you're probably wondering, where did researchers actually find the people who were maximizing that 80%? Well, by teaming up with demographers and medical researchers, explorers pinpointed 5 highly specific geographic regions around the globe, and they coined them the blue zones. In these distinct pockets, folks are living significantly longer, and they're doing it with just a fraction of the common age-related diseases that impact people in other parts of the developed world. We're talking about places like the Barbagia region of Sardinia, Italy, literally the highest concentration of male centenarians in the world. Then you've got Okinawa, Japan, where women over 70 form the longest-lived population globally. Add in the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, Loma Linda, California, which is home to a long-living community of Seventh-day Adventists, and Ikaria, Greece, an island with incredibly low rates of dementia. And when we look at the data, it brilliantly illustrates how researchers made sense of all this. Because think about it, these are vastly different backgrounds. You're comparing Seventh-day Adventists in California to Sardinian shepherds in Italy. But despite those extreme differences in belief and geography, these super seniors share some really remarkable overlapping traits. No matter the location, they all share common denominators, things like putting family first, staying highly socially engaged, and eating diets that lean heavily plant-based. It's like a universal blueprint for aging well.
Moving right along to Section 3, the Power 9 Habits.
Let's dig into how researchers distilled all those overlapping traits into 9 core, completely actionable lifestyle habits. We'll start with the mind and movement. First up, people in these blue zones have a profound sense of purpose. In Okinawa, they call it ikigai, and in Costa Rica, it's plan de vida. It basically translates to knowing exactly why you wake up in the morning. And science actually shows that having that clear sense of purpose is worth up to 7 years of extra life expectancy. Crazy, right? And what about exercise? Well, they aren't exactly pumping iron at the local gym. Instead, their environments naturally nudge them into constant natural movement. They walk miles every day, they garden, they do manual chores around the house. It's just a steady, daily stream of low-intensity activity. Now, when it comes to diet, one of the most fascinating habits is the 80% rule. Okinawans actually repeat a 2,500-year-old Confucian mantra right before their meals. It's called Hara Hachibu. Basically, it's a built-in cultural reminder to just stop eating the second your stomach feels 80% full. By slightly under-eating like this, they effectively slow down the body's metabolism, which in turn means their bodies produce fewer of those damaging oxidants. You know, the agents that essentially rust our cells from the inside out over the years. And looking at their nutrition more broadly, these 10 food guidelines perfectly sum up what's often called the plant slant diet. The absolute rock-solid cornerstone of the centenarian diet across the board is beans. Fava beans, black beans, soy, lentils, you name it. Meat is very rarely the main event. It's mostly treated as a celebratory food. And even then, we're talking about a portion roughly the size of a deck of cards, maybe just a few times a month. Oh, and hydration is huge. They stick mainly to water, unsweetened tea, and in most of the zones, moderate, sensible amounts of wine.
Finally, we have the social connection bucket. The longest-lived people on Earth deeply prioritize their tribe. Almost all of them belong to some sort of faith-based community, which acts as a profound mechanism for shedding stress. They keep their aging parents close by, they commit fiercely to their life partners, and they build incredibly tight-knit social circles. In Okinawa, they actually form what's called a moai, a group of 5 friends who commit to each other for life. And since human behaviors are literally contagious, surrounding yourself with a social circle that naturally reinforces healthy habits favorably shapes your own health for decades to come.
That brings us to Section 4, the scientific debate.
Now, before we start applying all these habits to our own modern lives, we really need to take a step back and impartially examine the scientific debate surrounding this longevity research. On one side, proponents of the Blue Zones model point to undeniable lifestyle variables, the diet, the natural physical activity, that deep community support, as the clear drivers of exceptional lifespans. But on the flip side, critics argue that the underlying scientific basis is actually pretty contested. Some researchers claim that these 5 specific regions were selected using anecdotal, media-driven narratives rather than rigorous global verification. On top of that, critics point out that the longevity claims often rely on historically unreliable age records in rural areas. There's also an argument that the whole model has inadvertently fueled lipophobia, basically pushing dietary guidelines that over-prioritize carbohydrates while unfairly demonizing healthy fats. We're laying out both sides here because to truly understand the topic, we absolutely have to look at the full scientific picture objectively.
And finally, Section 5, build your blue zone.
Okay, so regardless of the academic debate over exact record keeping, the core practical takeaways here, moving more, finding your purpose, eating whole foods, those are universally healthy habits. So let's talk about how you can design your own personal blue zone right at home starting today. Let's head to the bedroom. You want to mimic the centenarian habit of getting 7 to 9 hours of really high-quality sleep. You can do this by designing a completely tranquil, dark environment. We're talking blackout shades to protect your circadian rhythm, dimmable lighting to cue your brain that it's time to wind down, and please skip the bedroom TV. You really want to avoid that sleep-disrupting blue light.
Moving into the kitchen, what's really cool about looking at these regional foods is just how easily you can apply them to your own pantry. Start stocking up on staples like oats, sweet potatoes, and of course, beans. But here is the real psychological trick: visibility. Put healthy items like nuts and fresh fruit in highly visible glass jars right on your kitchen counter. When the good-for-you food is literally staring you in the face, you naturally bypass the junk and make way healthier snacking choices.
Now, what about that constant natural movement we talked about earlier? Well, you definitely don't need to put a treadmill in your living room. Instead, try keeping a shoe rack or a basket of your sneakers right by the front door. It acts as a highly encouraging visual nudge to get out and take a daily walk. Inside the house, try placing some large, comfortable cushions on the floor. Sitting down on the floor and getting back up repeatedly forces you to use your core and back muscles, much like the Okinawans do. And hey, if you have the space, start a garden. It's a fantastic way to naturally reduce stress, get some fresh veggies, and keep your body moving without even thinking about it.
Lastly, let's build your own moai, your social tribe. Thoughtfully design your living spaces to actually foster real human connection. Make the dining table a priority, set it with care, and actually enjoy meals together. Create living zones that are specifically meant for conversation, meaning totally free of TVs and screens. You could even set up a nice mocktail or wine station to enjoy a moderate drink, maybe a glass of Canada wine like the Sardinians do right around 5 p.m., and try to make it a habit to host your neighbors or friends every single week. It builds that absolutely crucial social safety net.
Because when it comes down to it, optimizing your lifestyle is entirely within your control. That 80% rule of longevity we talked about, it's not just a cool statistic, it is a massive invitation. So, the only question left for us is, what is the one small change you are going to start with today to build your own longer, better life? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.